Hello, welcome to my Woolly PhD. My name's Liz Scarf and this is a weekly vlog about what I am learning and making in my anthropology PhD all about wool. If you are new here, there is an introductory video that kind of outlines the project. Otherwise, on to this week. So last week's video on theories and things created some confusion, and I have to say, yeah, me too. I'm there with you. I have been. Oh yeah, if you've been watching for a while, you do already know that this channel is like documenting me grappling with learning and trying to explain things I'm learning, but I'm not fully formed around them. I don't fully understand what I'm talking about, and I just assume it's part of the charm of the channel. But yeah, so I have been grappling with this idea of what is theory and how is one supposed to use theory. I think definitely for months, if not years. But it was only about a month or so ago when I realized, I'm trying to learn how to use theory. And I think sometimes the moment you realize what it is you're trying to learn, it's actually a big learning milestone in the process. So something's clicked, but like I definitely wouldn't say I'm a confident or an elegant user of theory yet, but I feel like I'm a bit closer to understanding what I'm supposed to be doing with it. But yeah, so don't stress if you're not clear about how it works either. I'm getting there too. So this week though, I thought I'd have a little bit of a go of explaining it differently, both for myself and for anyone else watching who's also a bit like, don't quite understand this difference between theory and things and how we use them or intersect them. So it's a little shared experiment if you want to join in or just watch. But yeah, if you want to join, go grab something wool. It could be a skein, it could be a ball of wool, it could be a work in progress, it could be a knitted garment, it could be a garment you bought, it doesn't much matter, but that's something made of wool. Now, in the experiment, we're going to use a sort of a theory process, so like 3 steps in the process. And the first step is to describe a theory that we'll start the experiment with, right? So today that's going to be the theory of thing power, which is a term from Jane Bennett's work on vibrant matter. And it's the idea that things have agency, like they have a capacity to create actions, to have impact, to influence others or the world. So we'll use it as a kind of a starting assumption, right? That we start the exploration with this assumption about things, and in this case wool, that wool can influence, that it has some kind of agency or way of making things happen or something, right? It does something. It's an active agent somehow. So by doing this, we're putting theory first. We're saying, here's a theory that we think applies to wool, or that we're going to experiment with and see, does it apply? Does it fit somehow? So it's a framework. So a theory is, in one sense, it's a bit of a framework for thinking about something with. So the next step is to then consider this thing with that theory by asking some questions about the thing that are kind of relevant to that kind of theory, right? So our question will be in 2 parts. One is with the wool thing you're looking at, asking it kind of like, what have you made me do or influenced me to do? So that's the first part. And the second part is, what is it about you that made me do it? Right? So if you want to pause the video and be with your bit of wool, you could do that here and just be thinking, what did you make me do? And what is it about you that made me do it? Right, so that's the prompt. And if you're a little bit stuck where to start, one place to start to understand the influence is to remind yourself of the story about how the wool came into your life, why you kind of let it in the front door, why it kind of demanded to be in your life. So that starting point might help. Anyway, so pause if you want to. Otherwise, I will tell you about this one. So I'm thinking about this possum merino from Louis and Lola Yarns, Tasmania. It's really lovely. Possum merino, if you've never encountered it, it's so good. Now I bought this on my second day at the Australian Yarn Show in Canberra a couple of months ago. Now I thought I had done, so this is the origin story, right? So I thought I had done all my shopping on day one and that I was just going back on the second day for the talks. You can all see what a failed assumption that was going to be. So this yarn, what did it make me do? It made me overspend on my budget. It made me buy yarn on a day when I hadn't planned to buy any yarn. And I discovered it through a knitted sample garment, right? So there was a sweater there that was knitted with this. And it's a sweater that would not have caught my eye in a photo. I would have just kind of, it wouldn't have grabbed me actually. But getting to see it but touch it made me want to wear it. Right, so again, the wool, it made me want to wear it, to put it on my own body. It didn't actually make me want to make it because there's a lot of cables, and I got a thing about cables, which I really got to get over because I've done them before, they're not that hard, whatever else. But so in terms of what did it make me do, like its impact or its influence, right? It made me overspend and it made me choose a sweater pattern that I'm not really looking forward to knitting. So that's, here's some influence or agency, right? But if I go to the second part of the question is, what is it about that yarn, that wool, that made me do these things? And I think back to my experience of the sweater, because it sure isn't this skein, right? Like, I don't mind the colour, it's nice enough. And I always like possum merino because I always like the kind of dark grey hue that it gives everything, even in its undyed state. I love possum merino. But this, it would not have just kind of grabbed me in the skein, but the sweater did. So that's the bit where I would look for, how is it? What is it about this wool that made me do it? And when I think back, it was the way the fabric kind of draped in my hands. It was very light, and it had like, kind of like a feeling, like a watery kind of feeling that was also soft and fluffy, and just kind of promised like a real sense of warmth. And I could just anticipate or imagine how amazing it was going to feel to wear it. And so it seduced me with this promise of a very sensuous feeling of soft warmth. So that's my step 2, right? What did it make me do? Why did it make me do it? This kind of anticipated feeling of just a very beautiful, fabulous experience of wearing, right? Like this sweater does not wear like that. It's almost scratchy compared to it. It doesn't have the same drape, even though it's quite thin. It's a machine knit thing. It doesn't have a kind of a soft, watery, anyway, hard to describe. But I think we probably, for people who've felt a lot of knitted fabrics, you probably know what I mean. But now step 3 is to take my answer, or your answer, everyone's answers, however many answers one has, back to the thing power theory and see if it helps me understand wool more, or if it helps me articulate thing power as a theory more, right? So if I thought about my observations using thing power now, I might conclude that the thing power of possum merino, that it's most powerful when knitted into a fabric actually. The thing power of this matter, it's not asserting its maximum agency until it's knitted into a fabric. That's when it's most powerful, most seductive, right? It's not as seductive like this. That's not the case with all skeins. Honestly, I have bought skeins that I never wanted to knit because I loved them in the skein so much. I knit them up and I'm disappointed. So it's not always a assumed direction that it'll always be better knitted up actually, or we'll always like it more, or it'll always be as powerful knitted up. So, but I'm going to propose that possum merino is at its most powerful when it's knitted up, based on my subjective observations, obviously, but that also that the power that it asserts is its capacity to interacting with human skin, right? Like there's a certain kind of affinity between human skin, or my human skin, and possum merino that not all wool has. So I just kind of think, yeah, there's something about, it has a way of being with skin. So this is like how I might use my observations with the theory to further try to understand the thing or hypothesize about it, right? I can't claim it as an objective fact. Of course it's interpretive, it's subjective, and that's most of life. But I can say it wasn't visual, right? It was very tactile. Its power was not actually in the visual. Not in this colour. I have had some visual experiences of possum merino that has been like really powerful. But anyway, we can also at this stage engage other theories. We don't only have to stick with the thing power theory. We can engage other theories to help think about our observations. So I could think about James Gibson's theories about perception, which I think I've spoken about here before. Just this idea about it's the whole organism moving and interacting in its environment that perceives. We're not just perceiving through very specific sensory channels. It's like we're constantly in a process of perception. And if I use that to think about my observations about the yarn, I might think more or focus more on my anticipated perceptual experience of wearing the sweater that made me buy the wool. So I had a perceptual experience when I was looking at the knitted sample garment, that watery kind of feel, just a haptic experience. And then it made me anticipate a future kind of experience, perceptual experience of wearing it that was going to feel really fabulous. And that made me buy the wool. And so that would be another way to use theory, to think about my observations and try to sense make about them. Maybe if there'd be a way where I could combine the two theories as well, thing power and perception, and I might conclude this thing power, this yarn's agency lies in its ability to promise certain ways of feeling in the body. It's not just squishy and soft, it's a device for time traveling to a future experience. Like it makes me sort of think about a future self where I'm just like blissed out wearing this super soft snuggly sweater that everyone wants to come and pat. Yeah, I don't know, right? But this is really just thinking about, or trying to further understand how we think through and with things, and then how we use theory to also think through and with things. Now, there's going to be way more to it than what I've just kind of tried to demonstrate. I don't know how great the example is, but anyway, hopefully it makes a little bit more sense about things and theories. But so I think there's more to it, and there better be, because this is like the crux of the whole PhD, actually. But yes, I'm only 6 months in, so it's still a work in progress about how to think like this, and I really still am just only feeling like I'm understanding it just a little bit myself. So maybe I'll swing back to this in a year or two with something much more insightful to say about it. Let's all hope so. I don't want to be in the same place in a year, but and maybe I will have knitted this sweater by then. I'm not sure. I'm going to be knitting a lot of Icelandic sweaters for the rest of this year. So who knows how long that will take. Anyway, that's what I've been thinking about, is thinking about how to use theory to think with things and use things to think about theory. What have I been making? Well, I have not had much knitting time this week, so it's been some slow progress on the fingerless mittens. This is a free fingerless mittens pattern. It's called by Iris Knits, and I showed one last week that I had finished. Oh no, I hadn't finished it. I was moaning about having to do the Italian sewn bind off, which is really not that hard at all. So I got that done, got the thumb done, and my daughter tried it on. It's a good fit, that's excellent. And I have almost finished the second one. I just have to bind off up here and then just finish the little bit of thumb, bind that off, and finished. And this, oh, the light's not great. There's only light on one side of the screen. But the, anyway, the yarn is hand spun, or I spun this from some woolen tops from, is it any good over there? Oh, anyway, from Kathy's Fibres, which is an Australian fibre dyer. There's pretty cool stuff there. That's what I've been making. But last week I submitted my confirmation of candidature paper, which is like a big moment in the PhD process, so yay. And then I treated myself to a much anticipated trip to Sunspun Yarn, one of my local yarn stores, my favourites. And I got some lovely wool there for my ongoing project where I'm collecting the yarns. It's taking a while, but getting there, because I don't have a big stash to kind of pull from. But I want to make, I think it's spelled Jello Kiwi, but it's probably pronounced Yellow Kiwi, sweater by Mikey Nora Carvanen. I will put it in the notes. Mikey Nora, it's just like the best name ever. Anyway, it's a sweater, it's a free sweater pattern that she designed, and I'm trying to make a version as close to the one made by Wishbone Yarn, which has been hugely popular. Just beautiful, beautiful colour selection. So I am trying to replicate something like that. All those things are on Ravelry, but I'll put them in the notes in case you want to check them out as well. That project I won't get to start it this year. I don't think I'll even get to swatch it. It's going to be a treat for when I'm back from fieldwork, I think. Might do it then. Okay, well, that's it for this week. Thank you for watching. I hope it's been interesting. And yes, if you tried the little experiment, or even if you just thought about it as we were doing it, I would love to hear your thoughts about what has wool made you do. And what is it about the wool that made you do it? It's like a whole mystery novel in this. What wool made her do? Made me do a PhD. Okay, see you all next week. Thanks. Bye.